everybody, welcome back to Jessica's Reading Room. My name is Kim and today we are here for another monthly wrap-up video. This is for the month of November and oh boy, these holiday months, dang, I don't know about you guys, but they're crazy, at least in my life, okay? Because I ended up having family over to my house, which I wasn't expecting, okay? And so I had to clean and I had to cook and listen, I'm not cut out for this adulting thing. I don't know who ever decided that I was, but apparently I just suck at it. So there you go. All right. So hopefully everybody had a fantastic November and a fantastic Thanksgiving. And despite all the business, hopefully you got some good reading in. So let's talk about what Kim read in the month of November. All right. So let's start with one of my most anticipated reads, honestly, in like the last 3 years. Okay, this is a really, really big deal. It is the Arc of a Scythe series, Arc, Thunderhead, and then the Toll. Okay, I have been waiting for this book for a very, very long time, like a year and a half, okay? Because if those of you who have been following Jessica's Reading Room, you know that I read Arc, loved it, read Thunderhead like the day it came out, and then I thought, oh great, it's a duology. Nope, it's a trilogy. And the third book didn't come out for like a year and a half after the second book. Okay, so, see, I get really passionate about things, and this is one of those things that I got really passionate about. That's just how I am. I don't know why. It's just how I am. I don't know. Anyway, so Arc of a Scythe. Okay. We need to rally this, guys. We're not even 5 minutes in and I'm already... Okay. Scythe. Basically, in a perfect world where a computer program has taken over, has fixed everything, sickness, death, injury, everything, in order to control the population, there is a group of humans called scythes who basically go around and glean people, again, to stop population increase in a world where everyone is immortal. You follow the story of two scythes in training, and basically the entire trilogy is their story of the scythedom, the Thunderhead, the computer program trying to fix the problems of the world without actually getting involved in things that it's not supposed to get involved in. And I mean, guys, this series, I cannot recommend it enough. I really can't. I mean, especially for teens. I mean, I get that it's like mature content, as in it's like super philosophical. And someone on my video review was like, I just came for a review, not an existential crisis. Well, the problem is that's exactly what this series is, okay? You start thinking about life and you start thinking about death and you start philosophizing, and that's literally just what you do this entire story. So I don't know what to tell you. If you don't like philosophizing, Schusterman may not be for you. But still, it's like the fun kind of philosophizing, and it makes you feel really smart afterwards. So, the Scythe series by Neil Schusterman, definitely should read it. Totally worth it. Loved it so much. Okay, next we have Letters from the Loony Bin by Thatcher C. Nally. Now, those of you who know me, you know that this is totally the kind of book that I love and that I will totally read over and over and over again, because I'm just the weirdo who likes mental institutions, insane asylums, psych hospitals. I don't know why, okay? We've tried to figure this out. I don't know if anyone ever has managed to give me a good explanation. I just do. It's like the combination of my macabre historian side. The macabre and the historian side is the combination. So I'm a macabre historian. I don't know. It's just the way I am. And this book could be history if it wasn't already labeled as fiction. In an asylum up in New York, it's the Emerson Rose Asylum, and I believe it was located in New York. A series of letters was found, basically by the patients planning a revolt against the horrible medical personnel of the Emerson Rose Asylum. And basically you're just reading letters of all of these patients, getting to know them, hearing their problems, why they got sent to the asylum, and then their plan to help, to actually revolt and escape, because the new head of the asylum is horrible and is doing all these really awful things to them, and they don't like it. And I just found it so fascinating. Again, if I wasn't told that it was fiction, I would have totally thought that this was real. And those are the best kinds, because that, like I said, macabre historian. If that kind of stuff really happens, I want to know about it. Okay, next we have Salt of the Sea by Ruta Sepetys. This person. This is actually the first book that I read by her. It's excellent. It is about the sinking of the Wilhelm Gustloff. It was a refugee ship in Germany trying to get people from one side of Germany to the other up on the Northern Sea, up north of Germany, which, I mean, I should know which sea it is, but I don't, so I apologize for that. I don't know everything. I know I like to pretend that I know everything, but I don't actually know everything. Anyway, and so basically this is a story of a bunch of people who you would think had nothing in common, but yet their lives kind of all intersect on this ship, the Gustloff. And you're just hearing all about their stories. There's a Lithuanian nurse, there's a German sailor, there is a German deserter, and all of these characters that you meet, you get to know them, you start feeling for them, and unfortunately, I cannot give a full 5 stars to this, because Ruta does what she does best, and that is she stops the story and then gives you this little teeny tiny little bit of information that ends the story, but yet it's not enough. So you're left with this huge open-ended story that you have no idea how, it resolved itself. You don't know. Well, okay, no, that's not true. You see the resolution. You just don't see how you got from, the end of the story to the resolution. And there's this huge open space between the two of them. And you have to find out more, but yet she provides you with nothing. And it drives me nuts. And I didn't remember that happening in this book until I reread it. And I may have to stop reading her books if she keeps doing that to me. So Ruta, stop doing that, please. Okay. All right. Now, I don't know if I mentioned this in the last month's wrap up, so I'm just going to go ahead and include it. I know that happens a lot. Okay. So I'm sorry if there's a lot of redundancy. Forgive me. But we have Dracula by Bram Stoker. Finally read this book. I tried reading it physically, tried reading it on, listening to it on audio, could never actually finish it, never got past the second chapter. Finally this year I said, that's it. I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna read it. And I did. I read the whole thing. Yay me. And it was awesome. I really enjoyed it. There was this one little portion at the very end where I was like, oh my gosh, Stoker, hurry up. Literally nothing happened for 100 pages. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't take this anymore. But the story as a whole, I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. Finally, I have it read. If you have not read it, you absolutely need to, because it's a classic that should be read by absolutely everybody. So everybody should read it. Plus, I have this lovely Barnes & Noble edition, and it's beautiful. I love beautiful books. We all know this. And so if I see a pretty book, I'm probably going to buy it regardless of what it's about. So, I thought I heard Ivan, so let's hope we're not waking him up right now, because he has to work tonight. And so he's asleep, and that's where I try to get all my stuff done, is when he's asleep. And it doesn't always work, because I also like to read while he's asleep. And I don't feel nearly as guilty not getting anything done when he's asleep. It's just when he's at home and off work and he starts doing stuff that I start feeling really bad for not doing stuff. So yeah, there you go. Okay, next we have A Father's Promise by Donna Lynn Hess. Now this book, it was published by Bob Jones University Press. Those of you who followed us, you know that I grew up at Bob Jones University. My mom was a college professor. My dad actually worked at the press as the director of sales for a good long time for the educational curriculum. And so in our house, we always had a huge collection of all the Bob Jones Press fiction books for early Christian readers, historical fiction for young readers. This was always one of my absolute favorites. I read it over and over and over again. I can't even tell you how many times I have read this book. It was required reading for one of my elementary school classes. It's just this amazing book. It was one of my mom's favorites, and I've just read it so many times. I decided to sit and read it again. I wanted to see how long it actually would take me to read it. Considering that now I'm an adult and it's a kid's book. So I was like, okay, let's see how long it takes me to read. It took me all of an hour and a half. I found myself, now this is super weird because like I said, I've read this over and over again, and yet somehow this time I cried through the whole thing. I don't know how I went from such a cold-hearted child to this kind of needy, weepy adult. I have no idea. But seriously, I cried through the entire book. And I was like, it's not like I was surprised by any of it because I don't know. But it's an excellent, excellent book for teaching kids about the Holocaust, about the Nazi invasion of Poland. Fair warning, it is a Christian book, and I said this in my review that if a kid does not have much exposure to the Bible, they're probably not going to get a lot of the Christian elements. But even if they haven't had any kind of Bible lessons, the historical story itself is still so amazing. It still does a great job of educating. This is a perfect educational tool for teaching kids about World War II and about the Nazis, and I cannot say enough good about this book. Love it so much. My whole life love it so much. So there you go. All right, next we have Twisted by Hannah Jane. This is about a girl whose father was a famous serial killer that they have not caught, but that it has not been tried, but everyone assumes is guilty. She moves to a new place, is adopted by new people, so she plans on starting a new life as a completely different person. Someone that nobody around her knows her. They don't know that she is, the daughter of this serial killer. And the whole story is, does her father try and contact her again? If he does, is he actually the one guilty of all these crimes? Is there some kind of conspiracy to frame him for this? What is she going to do about all this? And unfortunately, I have to say that while the plot itself was pretty good, the book itself, it was just like a whole lot of nothing happened. And then when something happened, it was very predictable something that was happening. So I guess for like immature readers, it would probably be a good idea, but I just wasn't a huge fan of this book. And I wanted to really badly because this cover is really fantastic. And this is the first time I've read Hannah Jane, and I really wanted to like it. It's just, I didn't, so I'm very sorry for that. Okay. See, I feel really bad when I say I don't love books. It's just not right. We're supposed to love all books, and authors are supposed to put out these amazing books that we can say no bad thing about, but yet it's just an imperfect world, I guess. Okay. All right. Next we have The Collector by K.R. Alexander. I actually saw this book. I don't know if someone had bought it at a book fair. I don't know where I had seen this book, but I was like, oh, that looks really good. It's totally up my alley. You guys know that I have a creepy doll collection. I love creepy dolls. I love the horror element. Darkness is my friend, all right? It's just how it is. And so I put it on my wish list on Amazon, and I was like, okay, maybe I'll get this. This is going to be great. Awesome. And then I show up at my parents' house, and it's sitting on my mom's bookshelf, and I picked it up, and I was like, what? Why do you have this book? And my mom's like, oh, well, they gave Doc a bunch of free books from their book fair, and these were donated, so he brought them home, and, and it's great. And I was like, that's not fair. How do you guys get all these free horror books, and I have to go looking for, what? See, this is happening, I need to be a teacher again, so I get all the free stuff. I got so much free stuff when I was a teacher, and Christmas presents, I got Barnes & Noble gift cards like crazy when I was a teacher, and it was amazing. Maybe I need to go back to being a teacher. I don't know. Anyway, so I ended up confiscating this book from my mother because I knew she wasn't going to like it. And I brought it home, I read it, scared the crap out of me. Like, this was a creepy ass book, all right? And I'm kind of surprised it's considered a kid's book because while I would probably let my kids read it because you guys know that I'm weird like that, and my kids are probably going to be weird someday, I'm just kind of surprised that it's considered a kid's book because this is really creepy for a kid's book, okay? It's scary, okay? Josie and her family moves in with her grandmother. Her grandmother has rules: never leave your windows open after dark, no dolls in the house, and never ever go by the house in the woods. And this whole story is you're figuring out why there are these rules. Why are kids disappearing? Who is this Beryl that her grandmother keeps talking about? And when you find out, creepy, okay? Just creepy. And it's totally worth it, and I really loved it, but guys, creepy. Okay. All right, next we have Down a Dark Hall by Lois Duncan. I saw this movie. It's got Uma Thurman and Anna Sophia Robb. I found it while I was working, and I was like, oh my gosh, this looks really cool. It's got a little, it's got a girls' school out in the middle of, wilderness New York, and you guys know I'm a sucker for a girls' boarding school, so I was like, okay, and it's creepy, let's watch it. I watched it, and the first time I watched it, I enjoyed it. Then I saw it was based on a book, and I was like, oh, let's get the book. So I got it, I read it. It is about Kit, who goes to Blackwood Hall as a special child. She just thinks that she's always in trouble, but the headmaster of this school has different ideas for these girls' education, and the whole book is seeing the sinister things that come out, what is going on at Blackwood Hall, why are these girls here, and it's creepy, okay? It is creepy. But then I went back and I rewatched the movie with Ivan, and I have to tell you, we're gonna kind of count this as a book to film comparison, because I'm going to talk about it a little bit right now, and that is that the creators of the film decided that this book was not scary enough, so they decided to try and add in a bunch of scary elements to make it creepier. The problem is that the things that they added made no sense whatsoever. They added these useless characters that had no effect on the plot whatsoever. And I mean, overall, it just came across as like not that scary. And so the most basic plot points they managed to get. But if I'm going to tell you, if I liked the movie as compared to the book, if I consider it to be a good, adaptation, I don't think it is, because they took all of the implied creepiness that this book had, and it did it effectively, like to where you're chilled as you're reading it. The movie, they tried to make it more explicitly horror, and they failed. So I really loved the book. It's just the movie kind of sucked, which is sad because I love Uma Thurman, and her character, her portrayal of the head mistress was fantastic. It's just I didn't like the way the adaptation just didn't work, as my pile of books goes falling. Okay, moving on, shall we? Next, we have Silence for the Dead by Simone St. James. Now, St. James, she does this great job of writing these creepy paranormal type, they're historical fiction, but with this paranormal element into it. There is not a book that I've read by Simone St. James that I didn't like. This is one that I did. It's fantastic. There is a convalescence home on the coast of England where Kitty, a girl who pretends to be a nurse, goes there to get a job, get away from her abusive father. And she comes, and guess what? The convalescent home is haunted. Nobody knows who's haunting it. Nobody knows why. So Kitty has to figure out what is going on while dealing with the fact that she has no idea how to be a nurse. They're working these horrible hours, and it's just, it's a good one. Okay, this is a good book. I enjoyed it. Plus the cover is really gorgeous. So you should definitely read it. Totally worth it. All right, then we have Educated by Tara Westover. I know Jessica has already read this book, and I'm pretty sure she's already done a review on it. This was actually my neighborhood book club's monthly book pick. Strong feelings came out of this one. I mean, I'm shocked. And the thing is I went on Goodreads to look at this. I was shocked by how many people actually gave this book a low rating. It's a memoir. It's not an academic historical work, okay? So of course there's going to be a little bit of literary license and embellishment in it, okay? I don't have any problem with that. Even I saw the embellishment that came with this book. But I mean, if you just look at the underlying things that she talks about, I mean, holy cow, I have never in my life been more thankful for my family than when I was reading this book. Okay, Tara grew up in a Mormon survivalist family where her father was convinced that the feds were coming to get them, the end of days was coming, never went to school, lived off the grid, and it basically tells her story of moving from an uneducated little girl to getting her PhD from Harvard? Cambridge. I don't know. Getting her PhD. And it just, overall, it was a really powerful story. I really enjoyed it. If you haven't read it, you absolutely need to. Powerful, big, powerful, deep feelings. It was really good. Okay, and then we have Santa Claus is for Real by Charles Edward Hall. This is a traditional Christmas book for me. Read it every year. I believe this is my 4th year reading it. Absolutely love it. Mr. Charles Edward Hall is the man who plays Santa in the Radio City Music Hall Christmas Spectacular. He has done it for the last 30 years. And basically this is his story of how he went from a little boy in Kentucky who saw Santa Claus during a snowstorm, how he ended up as Santa at Radio City Music Hall, and how he knows Santa personally. He and Santa became really good friends. Santa taught him how to play Santa, and it's just an amazing read. Like I said, for Christmas every year I read it. It helps get me into the Christmas spirit. If you have not read it, you absolutely need to. Totally worth it. Oh my gosh. Really, really good. There you go. All right, so there we go. Kim's November reads. We have to do, we have to do best and worst. All right. Books that I haven't read before. So that would make this pile. Okay, so least favorite's pretty easy. It's Twisted. I wish I could have liked it more, but I didn't. I mean, I'm glad I read it. It's just I will never read it again, and I wouldn't really recommend it to too many people just because I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Forgive me. Okay, then, okay, most favorite. Okay, I'm kind of between The Toll and Educated. I think I'm going to go with The Toll just because it was so anticipatory. And I got to find out the end of the story. Totally satisfied. Though I did hear that he might continue this series. I'm totally in favor of that. Mr. Schusterman, if you're listening, I'm good with that. You have my permission to proceed, and please proceed, please. So there you go. Most favorite, and then where to go? Least favorite. There you go. Okay, so there we go. Whew, I just said there we go like 3 times in a row. I told you, I'm not very eloquent while I'm doing these videos. It's really sad because you think I would be more eloquent, but no, I don't know. I just say the same things over and over again. Okay. All right, so there is the November reads for Kim. I would love to find out what you have been reading. Let me know your opinions if you have read any of these books before. Love to hear about it. Let us know how your Thanksgiving was. Hopefully everybody had a good one. Love to hear from you guys. Talk to us down in the comments, and everybody have a fantastic December and an awesome Christmas. Bye.